My name is Holly. I am a career coach. I am the CEO and founder of myhollylead.co, where I run a leadership career coaching as a full service in getting you transitions from a non-tech or non-thing into your employer of choice. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the job market, where we're at right now, who is hiring, and any information that I can find on a global footprint, because in the last few weeks, I do personally read all of your messages throughout social media, but the best place to be in touch with me is LinkedIn. Listen, y'all, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you should, because when you start networking or getting the employer's attention, what do? They go straight to your LinkedIn profile. It's highly, highly critical. The one thing that a lot of folks pay attention to is how many connections you have. Yes, I don't want to say it's a numbers game, but listen, if you're looking for a job and so there's a million other people fighting for the same role and they've got thousands of connections and you have, let's just say 100, the bare minimum that anyone should have is at least 500 to start. I don't know if you pay attention to just the overall internet. There's a lot of scammers out there as well. There's a lot of fake profile. Yes, indeed. Also on LinkedIn. I know that because there's a lot of folks who send me LinkedIn connection and I don't accept just anybody's connection as first degree. Even though I hide my network, they can still see comments and a lot of different things. I like to keep things and contribute to my community only. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, please, what are you waiting on? I actually made the entire playlist on how you create your LinkedIn profile from beginning to the end and how to network along with those templates. The second thing I wanted to talk about is be very, very mindful of who you connect with on LinkedIn. LinkedIn will allow, I believe, unless that has changed, 30,000 connections. So I'm not saying that is a lot of connection. There's a big difference between LinkedIn and YouTube. LinkedIn, 10,000 connection is pretty much equivalent to the YouTube 1 million subscribers, because a lot of those information there should be very authentic and real, minus lately there's quite a few fake profile, but has not been that way for a very long time as far as social media on the career front end. So LinkedIn is still up there with not a whole lot of spammers, but there are some. So be very cautious and mindful who you guys are connecting to, but do create a profile that you feel very proud of the work that you've done. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the job market. So very quickly, the job market is definitely, I don't want to say heating up or is really hot right now, depending on the employer and the geography. Overall, the job market is not looking as worse as the beginning of the year or in Q4 of 2022. This is an article from ABC News. This is strictly with Washington Post. You can tell it's fairly new. It is on October the 3rd. It talks a little bit about what are the signs of job market coming back into pictures. All right. So we are up from 8.9 million in July to first uptick in the last 3 months in the labor market. And these are based on surveys, based on unemployment rate, which is folks who are applying for unemployment. So based on a lot of the data, the real-time data that Washington Post is gathering. Next, let's go to the country. Stunningly strong job market. Let's chat about that for a little bit, shall we? So the U.S. employers added 336,000 jobs since September. Again, that's not very far off. That's just about 2 weeks ago. That's about twice as many as forecasts were expecting. So if you look at the graph here, if you look at the job posting, so the graph is indicating job posting, all right? You can tell that in Q1 it's basically almost dry, but you can tell that it's climbing up. I'm not making this up, guys. You can tell it's going in the right direction. You can tell by mid or end of last year, 2022, when I believe Meta was the first employer to announce their layoff, followed by Google, and then Amazon. Everything just kind of fall off the face of earth for a second. But you can tell that it is definitely bouncing back slowly. As of September 2023, this is 156.9 million job openings. And this is an article by NPR.org. So this graph here is interesting because it's comparing the last recession to this recession. So a lot of people would say this is the worst that they've ever seen in their life. I kind of disagree, because if you look at about, back in 2009, I was there. I was hit really hard. I was a staffing lead for Microsoft and my entire team. I literally just got the job for, I think, 4 months or 5 months or so, and I had to lay off the entire team, including laying myself off. So with that in mind, now there's a lot more companies out there, even though a lot of the like startups, a clothing shop, mid-sized company are not hiring, but there's also a lot more variety of industry that are hiring. To me, that's a big difference between the two. And if you look at 2009, AWS is not as hot as where they are now still, right? Especially when the pandemic hit, when everyone is working remotely, relying on their cloud services. Average wages in September went up 4.2% right here from a year ago. Wages rose from 0.2% between August and September. So it is slowly climbing up. I talked about this since the beginning of January 2023, which a lot of folks think that I was crazy. The market is going to take a while to be back with how it used to be. But the good news is, guys and gals, it is doing better. The unemployment rate is still low. Data don't lie. All right. Carry on at 20-year high. Look at the graph. If you click on the graph, you can see exactly the month, the day, percentage, so on and so forth. It explains where the strike is month over month and what you should look out for. So this is an article from Jack Kelly, a senior contributor. I like this article because one great thing about Ford is that for us to publish any of our work, they have to have facts to validate what we're saying. So if things aren't real, they actually have the entire team of publisher and researcher to verify the information, and I know everything on here is the truth. So hiring fell 3.6% in August across all sectors compared to July, making it third month in a row hiring declined, according to LinkedIn statistic of labor market report. Hiring in the United States remained down 23.8% year over year. That is because we are in a recession and inflation at the moment. The retail industry is 10.7% month over month decline in hiring. For services, we're talking about 6.7% of how many. It's actually not as bad as you think. Really look at the overall big picture of the big number. The financial sector, 7.1%. So overall, 8.8 million in July from 9.165 in June. All right. So it is dropping. You can tell that it is dropping month over month. So data for Q4 reviews employers continue to measure hiring despite economic uncertainty because company can't hold off on not hiring the right talents in order to build the goods or services. That's the only way for them to generate revenue. So that makes more sense. There's a lot of really good data and numbers here, but this is probably the most interesting thing about this article for me. A bright spot for employment in fourth quarter, and 39% of companies intending to hire within this space. Financial real estate, 33%. Communication services, 31%. By the way, communication services also include telco companies, television, and media companies as well. Telco meaning AT&T, Verizon Wireless, so on and so forth. Healthcare and life sciences, 31%. I would think so, especially in healthcare. Always hiring for people. It's really hot right now, in a matter of fact. Energy and utilities, 31%. I still think that one of the highest is also in technology as well. You guys can go through all of this, but it's really interesting. I like this contributor because he's dropping a lot of numbers specifically in different industry and categories. So thank you so much for spending your time with me. Have a great week, guys. Look forward into reviewing your LinkedIn profile, your resume, and I will continue to answer your question next Tuesday. Same time, same place.